Bert Oliva's Mastermind Circle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Mastermind Circle presentation interview. Actually, today we have a special guest. I'm really excited. I love this woman, and I love the things that she's done, and we're going to get into that. However, first of all, I need to make sure that I want to welcome every single one of you new members that we have, and I want to also welcome all the guests that we have today. And before I get started, I usually put up a video and the house rules, and the video will show you what it is that I do. My name is Bert Oliva. I've been doing professional speaking for over 21 years now. So the video should tell you everything about me, and then the house rules and the core values, and then we get started. You guys ready? Come on now, you ready? Here we go.
Bert Oliva is an international orator. He speaks around the world about his experiences and teaches humanology, the scientific study of human potential. He has enchanted audiences all over the world, showing them the power of mind over matter.
He's one of the most talented speakers out here, and I highly recommend him to any type of.
The more prepared you are, the luckier you'll be.
He is the world-renowned authority on leadership and human behavior.
Mr. Bert Oliva.
Bert Oliva!
He's considered the voice of inspiration and motivation. Today, he'll pass his knowledge on to all of us.
For over 2 decades, Bert Oliva has touched the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Bert has a dedicated social media following and an impressive online influence few possess, enabling him to communicate with audiences he has touched near and far.
I think he's one of the greatest motivators out there.
The thing I love about Bert is he's on stage and he gives his heart every single time.
He has developed many programs, recorded audio CDs, and written books, all of which to help those ranging from individuals to corporate and Fortune 500 companies. He has dedicated his life to speaking all over the globe and met some of the most influential and powerful people in the world.
Okay, let's go.
He has also coached highly successful business executives and politicians.
Normally seen as impossible.
I believed it and I did it.
An infectious motivator.
So get ready to learn tools that will help you tap into your potential.
Pay attention, this is real stuff.
Get ready to have an experience you won't soon forget. Please help me welcome Bert Oliva.
I'm really excited. I met Ona several years ago, about 15, 16 years ago. And I was at a seminar where I actually did the opening act for Mr. Les Brown, her father. And I got to meet her and spend some time with her. And ever since, we've been friends. Every time I see her, I love her presentation. I love what she does. And let me give you a brief bio on who Ona is.
Ona Brown, also known as the Dream Queen, is equipped with more than 20 years of dedicated work, research, and exceptional results in the human development industry. As the daughter of Les Brown, who was named one of the top 5 speakers in the world, Ona is carrying the torch of a motivational legacy that was initially ignited by him. He started with nothing more than his mouth and a dream, anchored by his unstoppable willpower, and the rest is history. So let's welcome Ona Brown.
All we have is 45, 50 minutes, and I want to be able to get as much as we can of her story, because I truly believe that everyone has a story to tell, and we can learn so much from their successes, their failures, and so forth.
I'm here, Bert.
There you go, beautiful.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. No complaints.
Good, good. Okay, well, I only have 45 minutes, and I really want to find out all about Ona. Everything. I want to know it all. So
Okay.
where were you born? Where did it all start?
Wow. Well, I just want to thank you for this privilege. It's an honor. And I was just sitting here watching how well this is all put together. And I'm thinking, man, when we met over 15 years ago, I didn't know exactly all that you did, but I remember just you having great energy, your wife, Alexa, having great energy, and I just love you guys. So it's truly a privilege and an honor to be a part of this. And I'm excited because one of the things that I love and I'm passionate about, obviously, is a commonality that we have, and that is inspiring and uplifting and empowering others. And when I think about my journey of how I began speaking speaking, and I ran from speaking until it caught me because I had such a limited vision of myself, and I saw myself as someone who could never take the stage, someone who would never be able to uplift others. But I was a great person to have in the back, the back of the actual scene, and helping and supporting and uplifting and serving. I've always loved serving and helping others in any way that I could. And so finally there was an opportunity in my life when things started to turn and change, and I found myself in a situation where I learned that I had more in me than I could ever have begun to imagine, and I had not tapped into all that I had. And so that's one of the things that we encourage people to do, is to learn how to tap into that next level of themselves, that higher version of themselves, and to let go of who they are for who they can become.
So where were you born? Where did it all start?
I was born in Columbus, Ohio, and I was raised in Lexington, Kentucky.
Really? And then how did you get into the motivational? Obviously, we know who your father is. And then for those that don't know, they're going to know by the end of the session. But, I know that your mother was a big part of everything that you did, and she's a big inspiration. Her name is Phyllis Nutter.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your mom.
My mom is a powerhouse. She is a person that I have watched turn water into wine, make a way out of no way since I was a little girl. And I get so much of my unstoppable spirit from her as well as my father. So I got it on both sides. I'm really blessed. And she is someone who I think when it comes to really uplifting others, I have my friends that they'll call and I'll say, are you going through something? They say, yeah. I said, you want me to talk to you about it? And no, I need to talk to Miss Phyllis. I'm like, really? This is what I do professionally. They're like, no, but your mom, she just is something about her wisdom, her experience, her knowledge, and the way that she puts it to me straight. It just helps me to fly straight and narrow. So that was something that I had to look at. I said, wow, this woman is really an inspiration, not just to me, but my friends that come around. So I'm just really thankful to have amazing parents that are good people with good hearts, that always are doing their own, making a way in their own way. She hasn't necessarily traveled the world and been on stages or named one of the top 5 speakers in the world like my father, but she definitely is a powerhouse and a shero in the family, in our community, and making a difference in her own unique way.
That's great. That's awesome. And when you were growing up, before you even got into this world of speaking, because back in the day it was a little different than it is today, what was it that you wanted to do when you went to school? Did you always wanted to become a speaker, or, what was that?
No, I actually wanted to be a fashion designer, because when I was little, I had really long legs, really long arms, and most of the times when I got clothes on, my pants were high waters, and the shirts, the blouses always came, they were too short. And so when I was little, my dream was that I would grow up and create a line of clothing that would accommodate women that were tall and different. That was something that I really wanted to do. And it's not actually a hobby that I have. I still go, a lot of people don't know this, but I'll find some amazing fabric and I'll tell a person that sews. I've never taken a sewing class, but I'll tell them exactly how I want it to lay or what I want it to do and how I want it to look. And that's how I create a lot of the pieces that I wear on stages. And people say, wow, I would love to get one of those. So that's a project that's up and coming. It's going to be called.
Yeah, every time my wife sees you, she loves your clothing, and she always asks you, and you say the same thing. You're like, I kind of created it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be Ona Brown Originals. And so it's going to be coming soon. I got to do it because so many people ask me.
So you went from that, and then you finally launched your speaking career. Tell me the beginning part of that.
Well, I was working in my father's company, and I started out as a receptionist. And from the receptionist, I grew into handling a lot of the correspondence. This was back in the 90s. So we were getting mail. Actually, people wrote actual letters and said, Mr. Brown, I want to thank you for inspiring me, or Mr. Brown, I'm really going through it. And so I realized that a lot of times these letters were just sitting because Dad was traveling on the road. So I started creating responses to these letters and then just having him to sign them or approve them or tweak it and refine it. And then I just took on various projects in addition to what I was doing as a receptionist. And then I started to get into management, and I negotiated Dad's first highest paid international contract. And I was his number one salesperson in the back of the room. And then I assisted him on the road. And then I graduated and became like a VP of the company. And at one point I was actually a president of Les Brown Unlimited. So I just worked my way through the ranks and learned everything about self-development, the business, and helping and supporting the vision of my father.
And in the process, I mean, you did all that stuff. When was it? Give us the feeling or the emotion of that first time you got on stage.
Okay, so the story is that once my father was diagnosed with prostate cancer, he came to live with me in my place in Chicago, and I was living in Hyde Park, and I gave up my master bedroom and allowed him to move into the master bedroom, and we were just really working on him being healed, and I was juicing organic vegetables, and I was playing positive CDs by him and other greats like Jim Rohn and Anthony Robbins and different things like that, so that he could really get life to the cells and really grow beyond what he had been told, because he had been given a 3 to 5 year prognosis. And after him being there for about 2 weeks, he said to me, "Ona, I need to confide in you about something." I said, "Sure, anything. What is it?" He said, "Well, I've been eavesdropping on your phone calls." And I said, "Really? Why would you do that?" He said, "Because I was bored and I didn't have anything else to do." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Yes, and I've discovered that you are an amazing speaker, an amazing coach." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Yes." He said, 98.9% of the people that call here, you uplift them, you encourage them, you give them methods and techniques to take their lives to the next level. And so he said, "This is who you are. You have this in you." And I used to do research for Dad and help him with his presentations, but I never imagined that I myself would take the stage. And so we kept going back and forth. And he said, "You can do this." I said, "No, I can't." He said, "Yes, you can." And then finally he used wisdom and realized that I wasn't going to back down. And he said, "You know what? Maybe you're not a speaker. Maybe you're not a coach, but you sure tell a great story." I said, "Now I do tell a pretty good story." And he said, "Okay, well, would you just come on stage and tell a story? You ain't got to speak or nothing." And I said, "Okay, I'll come on stage and tell a story, but I'm not speaking." And I still can't believe he tricked me like that. And I got on stage and I felt this connection between myself and the audience. And I saw people having these aha moments, and people came up to me afterwards and said, "Thank you so much. You spoke into my life. I needed to hear what you shared today." And it was like, wow, I really enjoy this. I like this. I could see myself doing this. And so it was that, I think I was bitten by the bug when I saw the impact on people and their lives, and I saw that I could make a difference in a different way. I had always been making a difference, but I was able to see a different way that I could make a difference and have even a greater impact. And so with that, I continued to get on stage and tell stories, and then I started adding the little quote and spicing it up with a statistic or a scripture, and all of a sudden, it was a battle between Dad and I in the microphone. I'm like, "Get out of the way, brother. It's my time. I need this mic."
You know what? And the first time I saw you speaking, which was a long time ago, must have been the beginning of your career. My wife and I were in the audience, and we're like, "Man, your wisdom was beyond your years," and we really felt that connection until this day. I even saw you recently. We did an event together, and again, when I hear you speak, it's like this higher power comes within you, and you just glow. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, but it's true. And this is one of the reasons I'm really happy that you're here doing this interview. And this is so many challenges, because remember, at the end of the day, I can say this. I believe Les Brown is the #1 motivational speaker on the planet. And I believe that you guys, when I say you guys, I'm talking about you and your family, your brother and your brothers and everyone, you guys are like motivational royalty. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, with that being said, how difficult was it to break into the industry knowing that you're Les Brown's daughter?
It was challenging more than anything within myself, because I saw myself in a very limited space, in a very limited way. And when I would do engagements, oftentimes I would show up and people say, well, you know, I love your dad. I've been listening to your dad forever. He's amazing. And I'm just hoping that you can kind of measure up in some way, shape, or form. I hope you got something good, you know, to share. And so that's when you have to exit and go to the bathroom and kind of do the self-talk, like, should I leave out the back door? Or will I be able to at least bring some good to the family name, or will I just totally embarrass the family name? You have those tough moments, and I think it's all about how you view yourself and how you're able to really challenge yourself to get beyond the ego, which is what they call edging God out, and to rise above your own inner fears, which we know is false evidence appearing real. So it comes back to the self. It seems like it should have been effortless because of the DNA and because of the path that was, the trail that was blazed for me. But I think more than anything, it's about how you deal with yourself and who you see yourself as being, and being in a place of really opening up to the possibilities. Because that was the biggest thing that I had to do for me, was to get to a place and realize, you know what, I don't have to be a Les Brown Jr. I don't have to find a way to shine my light in the midst of his shadow. All I have to do is be the best version of me and give my own unique light in my own unique way that no one else on the planet can do in the way that I do it. And then I think I can say that I've made God proud.
Yeah, and I think you've done a great job. You know, I've seen it. However, you evolved from doing all these things, and now you're also known as the Message Midwife.
Yes.
What is that all about? Tell me more about that.
Okay, so as the Message Midwife, I help people to give birth to their own unique message that they would like to share with the world. And this too was something that I did not know that I was being groomed for years ago, when my father would say, hey, this is a former athlete, a former attorney, a former doctor, a former stay-at-home mom, and they have an amazing message in them. I don't know what it is. I need you to get it out. I got to fight to catch by. So I'm sitting there with the person, nervous, shaking all over, and upset and mad at him. And I say, tell me about yourself. And I start taking all of these detailed notes. And then from those detailed notes and really going into these various sessions, I'm able to create and extract their concepts, their beliefs, their philosophies about life, and to put that into a foundational message that they can begin to share with the world and speak to the various audiences within audiences. And so that's something, I've never given birth to a child, but at the end of that process, when I see a person standing and sharing something that they knew they had in them, but they didn't know exactly what or exactly how, but we go through that process and they're beginning to shine as this new speaker, I feel as if I'm like, I've given birth, you know, this is it. So, and I've helped them to give birth more than anything. So that's how they started calling me the Message Midwife. And I love it.
I have a question though. There's so many people coming into the industry. We started this industry when I started over 21 years ago. There was only a handful of speakers. Now kind of everybody think it's kind of cool and they get involved. However, a lot of them need the training in order to do it right, because they can hurt someone with the wrong message. So I have a question for you. Do you truly believe everyone is coachable?
No. I don't believe everyone is coachable, because first of all, most people don't necessarily believe that they need coaching. Oftentimes people feel as if they just got it. And even when it comes to like the coaching industry, everyone and their mama now is a motivational speaker and a coach. I oftentimes don't even tell people that I coach, but I actually started coaching before everyone and their mother became that. Right. And that, when you have that type of industry experience and knowledge over so many years, it's just interesting to see people that feel as if because they've listened to all of Dad's stuff, or they've listened to all of your stuff, and they know it frontwards and backwards, and then they just think all I have to do is just get up on stage and regurgitate everything he says. And I was like, no, you've got to find a way to get to your own inner voice and get to your own inner message, and make sure that you're willing to take the journey. And first of all, one of the things that you said in your intro, which I thought was so brilliant, was that the person needs to be able to get connected with themselves and do the work on themselves, because that's how you get to that place of being able to effectively help others. And oftentimes people would rather bypass their own self-development and say, no, let me look at you and see what's wrong with you and what you need to get together about you, because it's easier to do that than to have to get in the mirror and face your own insecurities and face your own inadequacies and face the various challenges that you yourself need to grow through and not go through. And so oftentimes I will tell people I don't coach everyone, because everyone is not coaching. I will let them know we have an assessment that is very thorough, and it reveals how serious you are, how ready you are, and if it's an actual good fit. Because if it's not a good fit, I don't want to compromise my results, my brand, and the amazing coaching that I've been doing for over 20 years.
Yeah, because it's so now that you're talking about that, you've been doing it for over 20 years now. So what's your proudest moment as a coach?
Okay, there's a couple, but there's one that comes to mind right now is when I had a husband and wife that were on the brink of divorce. And this particular coaching client was just playing small in so many ways and just pointing the finger, taking everything personal, everything we're not supposed to do, right, in the 4 agreements. It was just amazing to watch this process of seeing this man who was defeated and frustrated and angry and ready to throw in the towel, not just on his marriage, but just everything. It just seemed like he was just frustrated with everything, and start to watch him open up and wake up and see his contribution to where he was, and start to own and see how he was actually sabotaging himself. And then finally to get a call from his wife. And when I got on the phone with her, she said, I just want to say to you, thank you for giving my children a new father, for turning my house into a home, and for helping me to find new passion and love for this man that I call my husband. I just was like, wow, Ona, you're amazing. It wasn't really me. It just came through me, so I can't really take credit for it.
You sound just like your father when you said that. Oh, I want to take you back a little bit. You started a WIN program, WIN program in 2006. What was your intention with that?
Okay, so World Impact Now is the name of my company, and that stands for WIN. And so my intention is to transform lives daily and to help people to begin to learn how to win in the game of life. And that is something that it doesn't matter. I know we're supposed to have niches and to target and focus on particular areas, but having spoken in places like London, England, Stockholm, Sweden, South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, you name it, I have been there, and I love people. And one of the things is we have more commonalities than we do differences. And when it comes to dreams, even in places like Jordan or Israel, people have dreams. People have things that they are desiring in their hearts. And so when I show up as the dream queen to help them manifest that, I'm in my zone. I'm in my place of power, and I'm in my place of really glowing, because I know I'm being utilized at the highest level.
That is a beautiful thing. And what you said, the commonality between everyone is basically the same. People are either running away from fear or in search of love. And I've seen that throughout the years. And everywhere I travel all over the world, the same thing. People are like, can you talk to this group? Well, if they're humans, I can talk to them. Because we're all more or less the same, right?
I know, that's what I say too. And I also tell them, I say, if they're Martians, I believe I can talk to them.
Okay, do you ever...
It's 8:30.
Do you ever grow tired of seeing your father speak?
Never. I love it. And it's interesting because I've had people tell me so many times throughout the years that they went from watching him to being captivated by me because I'm so engaged. I'm laughing when people are laughing. I'm crying when people are crying. And I'm having an amazing time because I'm so present to that particular moment. And so it never gets old to me. It's just watching, it's like watching a master or a living legend do something in a magnificent way, and there's no way that I can get bored with that. If I can be there, I want to be there down front with paper and pen and handkerchief and get ready for the journey of where Mr. Brown can take you with his message in that particular moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him for years, and I followed him, and I've mentored under him, and till this day, no matter what, every time I see him on stage, my goosebumps get goosebumps.
Right. You said your goosebumps get goosebumps?
That's what I'm talking about. What's the hardest thing about being Les Brown's daughter?
The hardest thing about being Les Brown's daughter.
Well, obviously, you know, the comparison, we talked about that. But
right.
Yet, you know, it's I mean, at the end of the day, you know, when you're not on stage, that's your dad. And I've seen the connections you guys have together, and I love it because it's the same thing that we look forward to our children. You know, our children are part of our business. Even though some of them don't work in our business, they've decided to do something else in their lives.
Right.
They were there from day one. I remember when I did my first event, you know, my little, you know, 4-year-old was a security guard. So if you didn't have a band, he would take you to his sister, who was 8 years old, and she would charge you. So you had to pay. So you're not going to know the child, right? So it was part of the process. You know, they grew into it. But, you know, what is it behind the scenes? You know, what is it to be, you know, Les Brown's daughter?
Yeah, I would say the most difficult thing is having those moments when you wish you could be selfish, but you really can't. You know, I can remember so many times where I just wanted to be able to just enjoy a dinner with my dad and just have what I call girlfriend time. He knows what I mean when I say I want some girlfriend time. Like, I just want to talk. We can talk about anything and everything for hours. And oftentimes when we're like in a hotel room, we've had security come like, how many people's in here? Is there a party going on? And we're like, it's just us. Like, we're loud laughers and we're just having fun because we haven't seen each other forever. Or for a long period of time. So the biggest challenge is, you know, we're having this amazing dinner. We're laughing, we're sharing insights, revelations, experiences on stage, off stage, just, you know, really diving into what is the meaning of this thing and what is our next level that we want to grow to and how else can we make a difference in the world? And someone come up and say, hey, I've been following you for years and you're this and you're that. And they keep going, and they keep going, and they keep going. And they keep going, and the food's cold, and the time's up, and I've got to get dad to the airport. And you can't just interrupt a person and say, hey, you know, I'd like to have dinner with my dad. You gotta give them that moment, because that's a moment meeting someone that has been made a huge impact on their lives. It's been very instrumental in who they are today. So that's, I think, one of the most difficult things. I've often said, I wish I could just be selfish and say, or I could just, like, you know, put a box around us and make us invisible so that we could do some things and not have to, you know, become what we need to become for other people in that moment.
Well, that's what, you know, God has chosen you guys to do. That's part of the process, you know.
To whom much is given, much is required, right?
That's it. That's what we signed up for, right? That's part of the program.
Exactly.
That's what we were talking about. Today's coaches and today's speakers, this is bigger than what they think. This is something that you have to do for the rest of your life. You sign up for this.
And you know, it's interesting. I ask people, I just want to jump in on that because you hit a key point. I will say to people, how is it that you started coaching? And they say, oh, well, I got my niece into college. And I'll say, that's a good auntie. You know, that's not necessarily coaching. And so we look at people like you were saying, that don't necessarily do the work or get the training or get the mentorship that they need and do the studying that they need. And they just think it's like you just jump into it, and it's not that type of party. Because
I mean, it's like you said, the study. Every day. I've been doing it for over 21 years at a professional level. I still study.
Oh, yeah.
This is why I'm interviewing you. I'm going to learn something today. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to learn from you. I'm here to see what maybe I don't learn anything. Maybe it's confirmation. Sometimes information is better than learning something new. That's why it's repetitive. You got to go out there and keep learning, keep honing your craft to make a difference when you get on that stage. Because it's not about the showtime. It's about changing people's lives in a positive way, giving them the tools, not just the motivation. See, because that's what I love about you guys. It's not just motivation. You guys give tools.
Right.
And that's really what's needed in today's world.
I totally agree.
So
and that's what you've been doing for all of these years. And I commend you for that because, I mean, you have, I'm sure, had to go through your own challenges.
Yes.
And to deal with so many different types of situations and circumstances that oftentimes people don't really consider. They just assume, oh, he's just got it made, Bert, Olivia, he's got the ideal family and he's living this dream life as a speaker, but they have no idea what you have had to weather or to
You go through challenges every day. The difference between you and I and the rest of the world, or the people that are really doing it, is that we handle them differently. Because we learn from each of the issues that we go through in our lives. But that's what it is. It's not that we're special beings. Well, that's beside the point,
Right.
But, it's also that, it's something that we've embraced. And that's why when I do these interviews, I just don't want to know your upsell. We're going to get to that. I'm going to sell your book for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I want people to understand that, man, it takes work. It takes years. It takes dedication. It takes discipline. One of the things that your dad always talks about is Mamie Brown, his mom. Did you ever have the opportunity to meet her?
I did. An amazing spirit, very strong powerhouse, little compact powerhouse. And it's interesting how I love the way he's paid so much honor and respect to her. And so many people, they come up and that's the one thing that will come out of their mouth, like, oh, where's Mamie Brown's baby boy? Or I just love the way you honor your mom and respect your mom. And I just think that there's so much more that we need to learn about that in this society, because in this society, we've seemed to celebrate youth. So much so that if you're over 20, you're old and dated. Whereas in other cultures, when you get to be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, they see you as an elder. They see you as seasoned. They see
wisdom.
you as wisdom. You bringing wisdom. So you are in high demand for time and you are valuable. And they understand that there are things that you get to gain from someone who's been through that different journey that you might be facing right now. They've been there, done that, got a t-shirt and a keychain to go with it.
Yeah, and I hear when you're saying that. What do you bring to the top CEOs, top executives, human resource department, or even event planners? What is it that Ona brings to them?
I would say what Ona brings more than anything is the openness and willingness to learn, like you said, like not to show up as oftentimes I believe a lot of speakers make the mistake of doing is they show up feeling as if they have the answers. And one of the things that I've realized is you can never make that assumption. And just because a standing ovation in London, England does not equate to a standing ovation in Los Angeles, California. You've got to make sure that you're willing to get out of the way and to give your audiences not what you think not what you want to give them, but what they need, and to make sure that you do your due diligence and learn and pull out as much information and knowledge as you can, so that when you are speaking to their world specifically. And you are in tune with them. And if you're doing a corporate training session, or you're doing a workshop, or you have a 45-minute keynote, whatever that is, that it's coming to a place that's hitting right on their particular lane and avenue of living. And they're like, when you finish, they say, whoa, did you ever work for Xerox? Or have you ever been a part of the American Airlines family? Well, no, but I did my study, I did my research, and I learned as much as I could so that I could integrate all of that into what I was giving you and not just give you some cookie cutter shelf presentation that worked for another audience and assume that it's going to work for you.
Well, see, that's what's happening in today's time. You know, we've learned, at least when I started, one of the things that Brian Tracy and all these guys taught me was, you know, go into Toastmasters and create your canned speech. And that's worked really well. However, in today's world, we live in a fast food society. So your speech has to shift. Every time you go somewhere, you have to alter it. Till this day, when I go on stage, even 20 minutes right before I go on stage, after I've seen some of the speakers, I'll go ahead and change it around to make sure that that audience benefits with my message, not just to give them a message.
Right.
It's not about the show. It's about the delivering the right message to make sure that those people go home with something, even one little thing that can change the quality of their life in a positive way.
And that's what separates you, Bert, Olivia, from most speakers, because that's a true professional. And I've seen so many times where people, they have not prepared themselves enough, studied enough, and have enough experience and expertise to be able to flow like that. I think in football, they call that an audible, right?
Yeah, we audible. We be audible.
Friends would be so impressed with me right now.
So let me tell you something. And again, I got to give kudos to you guys. All this stuff I've learned from watching even your young brother, you know, Leslie Brown. I mean, when I saw him, John Leslie, when he was a kid, I mean, he's dynamite, you know. And then Les, of course.
I think he speaks circles around me and Dad put together. Like
I think it's different. Each one of you bring a different style.
That's true.
All three of you on stage, each one brings a different style, you know, and that's what I love about it. It's not like a carbon copy of Les Brown. It's not.
No.
And that's what I love when I see that, because each one has found your craft and your purpose, and you've actually found who it is that's inside, and that's what shows the outside. It's not like, oh, you know, this is Baby Brown's, you know, small, you know, Leslie, and he's just like Les, or Ona is just like Les. No, they're different, and that's what I love about it. You know, tell me one of the most terrifying moments, one of the most terrifying moments in your life.
In my life or as a speaker?
Either way.
Okay.
I'd rather be your life. Talk about your life a little bit.
Right. I want to say as a speaker, and then I'll think about my life. But as a speaker, it was when I was one of these people that would write out all these notes when I first started speaking. And so I had these copious notes that were just perfect, and I highlighted and I underlined, and everything was just perfect. And Dad and I were about to go on stage, and John Leslie had his notes too. And Dad said, hey, those are your notes. That's what you're going to do. And we were like, yeah, we're ready, Dad. He said, great, let me see it. And so we handed him our notes, and he threw our notes under this old couch that was in the back stage of the stage we were on. And it was like a theater, probably like 100-year-old theater. So I'm like, I got a little OCD. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm down there trying to get under this couch, and there's dirt and dust and stuff, and I can't even reach it. He threw it so far under there. He's like, you guys don't need that. You're going to have to listen to the voice. And I'm like, what? He said, listen to the voices. You'll hear them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you do that? I need my notes. I'm like, and so I'm going blank, and they're introducing us the first family of motivation. And we get out on stage, and Dad's talking, and he's doing his powerful presentation, and he's gearing up to bring me up. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, what on earth was on those papers? I have no idea. And so I'm just pulling a blank. And so all of a sudden, he hands me the mic, and I get ready to speak. And I wanted to say, what's wrong, voices? Cat got your tongue? Because I didn't hear anything. Crazy. So I just went from my heart in the moment. And it was one of my most powerful presentations, but it was the scariest of my life. And I feel as if it kind of reminds me, another scary moment is when I was a little girl and I had this bike with training wheels. This is in my life. And my granddaddy, my great-grandfather said, it's time for those wheels to come off. I'm like, I'm not ready. He said, yes, you are. And so I can remember him holding on to the side of the bike and being there with me. And I'm riding and talking to him. Then I look back and he was, all the way up the hill. So basically he was right. I was ready. I didn't need the training wheels anymore, just like I didn't need the notes anymore. But that moment when you get to that place and realize that the way you've done it up until this point, you don't have to do it that way anymore because you have evolved, you have matured, you have blossomed. That's a scary moment, but it's a very powerful moment as well.
Those are great stories, and they all correlate with one another, and it just also shows that, a lot of times we hold ourselves back. Like your father always says, we all have greatness inside of us.
Yes.
And that's an example of you having greatness. You can ride that bike. You can go ahead and get on that stage, but until everything was taken away and you finally said, wow, I can really do this, that's when your greatness showed up,
Right.
So it's awesome. I want to know a little bit more about what products, have you created? Tell us some of your products that really can help people, that are listening and watching right now.
Right. I created a book called Discover the Greatest You Ever. And it was birthed out of a CD, which turned into a CD series. And then I turned it into a book. I backed my way into the book. And it's been amazing. And I think that so many people, when they read it, they're realizing just how much more we have inside of us. We all know that we have so much of our untapped potential that we're reaching for each and every single day. And the question is, how do we get it? How do we access it? How do we gain it? Because we know it's there, lying dormant oftentimes, and we're only scraping the surface of what we have inside of us. And that was what really inspired that body of work called Discover the Greatest You Ever. And I'm really proud of that body of work, and it's helped a lot of people. And so that one, and then there's Affirmicize, a word that I created. I feel like, hey, obviously Webster creates words, so I can create a word. And so I took it from the word exercise and affirmation and created the word Affirmicize, which is a book of 101 affirmations for daily living. And in that, I invite people to step into the gymnasium of their mind to affirm truth, power, love, prosperity, joy, harmony, and everything that their heart desires. And so from that, Dad and I took some of our favorite affirmations and went into the studio and created a dialogue around some of those affirmations from the book Affirmicize, and we called that Affirmicize Take Two. And it's a very hot piece of body of work that people love, especially salespeople, people that are in their car dealing with a lot, oftentimes traffic, and they can just get these powerful wisdom nuggets, success tips that can take them to the next level.
That's awesome. That's great. Where do you find your advice? Where do you go for advice besides Les?
Right. I was going to say Dad. No. My mom, my dad. I have really beautiful friends that oftentimes I've poured so much into. And it's amazing how when you get into those various trenches in your own life and you find yourself in the eye of the storm and you have those friends that can show up and pour back into you what you've poured into them and remind you of who you really are and the things that you've done to encourage them. And it's like, wow, I said that? I don't even remember that. But there's a quote that I love, and it says, I hope I can remember. It says, a true friend is someone who knows the song of your heart and can remind you of the words when you have forgotten, or something like that. I think I messed it up. But it's just, having those good friends around and people that care about you enough to let you know just how amazing you are, even if your life is kicking your butt.
That is awesome. I have 2 more questions for you. Mm-hmm. And then what I want to do is let everyone know that we're about to wrap up. And I want you guys to start raising your hands and contacting Valerie and start asking those questions you want to ask. And I want you guys to come on live. I want Ona to see you and meet you. So I want you guys get your questions ready. I got 2 more questions for Ona, so you have enough time to start getting ready for your questions. Ona, one of the two questions I have. What would you say to the next generation of upcoming speakers?
Ooh, I would say make sure that you are working on yourself more than anything and being relevant to what's happening right now in this world, because the world has become, it seems like it's becoming more and more complex. And so there's the things that maybe would be considered inspirational and uplifting 20, 30 years ago may not necessarily be the same right now. There are some timeless messages, true, but there's some things that people need to do now to be able to balance in the midst of this world. We are in a place now where we have more technology than ever before. And so I can tweet you, I can inbox you, I can fax you, I can Facebook you.
We could do this. We can do this.
I can Zoom you, whatever. I didn't even know about Zooming, and I'm loving it. Zoom. But I can do all these things. But when can I just really hug you? When can I spend quality time with you, eyeball to eyeball, and listen to you, and not have "How are you doing?" be a rhetorical question? My dad tested it one time, and he said he was walking past a man, and he said the man said, "How you doing?" He said, I think I'm dying." He said, "Good, glad to hear it." Because the man didn't even hear what he said when he said, "I think I'm dying." Wow. But he tested it because he realized that when he said, "How you doing?" he really wasn't looking for the answer.
And that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah. So our next generation, these people of speakers, they're going to really have to be true servants, really be connected with themselves in order to effectively connect with their audiences.
What is next for Ona Brown?
What's next for Ona Brown? I have a couple of things. One, I am a momager. A lot of people don't know about this, but I had a AM talk radio show for 3 years called Own Your Dreams with Ona Brown. And I brought on various local dream owners here in Atlanta, Georgia, to have them discuss about how they own their dreams. And I brought on this young man, and we just had this amazing connection. And he's like he is a Facebook phenomenon. He's got over millions of followers, and I actually started grooming him and coaching him and mentoring him, and became his manager, which he calls me his momager. And now he's being booked in various venues throughout the U.S. as an up-and-coming comic or comedian. Great. And I'm really excited about that because I love the art of negotiation. I love finding a win-win for everyone at the table. And I also love building brands, especially clean, powerful brands like what he has. So that's really exciting for me. And then we're doing this event together where we're honoring moms on May 1st, and it's called Mama's Rock. And I did that in honor of my mother because she actually has just been such a great inspiration to me. And so we're going to celebrate moms with music, motivation, comedy, and just having an amazing time on May 1st in Atlanta, Georgia. So those are some of the things that are kind of up for me.
Some of these things that you're doing, are they going to be able to be recorded so people can buy the product, or they have to go live?
This is why I need you on my team, see?
We're here. Right. Let's talk about this.
We need to talk about it. I didn't even think about that, but yes, we need to be able to record it. And then I'm going to Japan to speak in June, the end of June.
I haven't been there yet, so I'll be your date to go.
Okay, gotcha. Got it. Oh, that's great.
This is awesome. Okay, well, do we have the questions? Can you bring them up? Okay, we have two people that have a couple of questions. If you have a couple more, please raise your hands. Let Valerie know. We want you to ask your question live, and if you don't want to come on screen, then we'll take the audio question, but we want your questions. Here we have Belinda.
Hi, Belinda.
Hi, Ona. It is an honor to meet you. I want to say that starting out.
Thank you.
I truly have been moved by your dad and by watching you. So I do my homework whenever I find out who I get to see. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
And when you first started out speaking, you obviously you said you had that positive self-talk for yourself, right?
Right.
Did you have any of those doubts in the back of your mind of people having different expectations higher than what you thought you could you could meet, and how
Every
did you
day.
get past it?
Every day.
Every day. And how do you get past it?
You just let it be. So here's the thing, Belinda. We know that we get thousands of thoughts that come through our minds every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, according to psychologists, it's somewhere around 6,000 to 8,000 thoughts that come through a day. So we can't control which thoughts come through, but we do get to control which thoughts we choose to focus on and which thoughts we choose to give power to. So I can hear, Ona, you know, you're not good enough. You're probably going to mess up on this webinar with Bert, Olivia. And they're going to be disappointed. You're too low tech to even get the computer to work. You're going to hear all of that. But then you say, thank you for sharing. And you keep moving and you press forward. You don't allow it to stop you, because those thoughts are going to come. And what you do is you become really good at replacing those negative thoughts with really positive, powerful thoughts like, I'm going to knock the socks off of them. This is going to be fun. It's going to be amazing. And just doing what I think in the Book of Life, they call it calling forth those things that be not as though they were. And understanding that death and life is in the tongue. And you have the ability, even if you have a negative thought, to speak something powerful for yourself that can override that negative thought and live in your truth and not allow your fears to overtake you. And as Dad would say, it feed your faith and your fears will starve to death.
Preach, woman. Preach.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yes. So that's a part of the territory. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving, keep making a difference and shining your light.
Thanks, Ona.
Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you, Belinda.
Nice. I tell you, this is fun. This is different. This is a different type of webinar. Here we have Chevy Gunn.
Hey, Ona Brown, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Chevy. How are you?
Good. Awesome. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
You can just tell you're perfect for this job.
Thank you.
My question to you was, what was your most powerful event that you ever did where you touched someone from your event that you got when you got the feedback, it touched you?
Yes. Amazing question. I wanted to say perfect, then I wanted to say amazing, but it's a perfect, amazing question. I would say one of the greatest, one of the greatest messages that I ever gave, or presentations that I ever gave, was in Jordan. We came back from Israel, and it was in Jordan, and it was over 3,000 or 4,000 Jordanians. And so there was a big conversation. At that time, I had really long locks about the covering of the hair. And so we were backstage, and they said, well, you know, it could be offensive to some people, and you may have to maybe just wear this thing. And I'm like, but this is not who I am. I said, and so I wore it, and I was going to do it. And then right before I was going on stage, I pulled it off, and I just went out and just spoke from my heart. And I just said, I was praying the whole time I was speaking, God, just let them feel my heart. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I need to be true to my authentic self. And so afterwards, all these women just came up and flocked to me, and some of them I could only see their eyes, some of them I could see their faces, they were covered, and they said to me, thank you so much. Just, you don't get to see women on stages here. Oftentimes women, you know, when I rode in the car there with Dad, I had to sit in the back seat. When we were in the meetings with Dad, I couldn't really talk, and I normally run the meetings for my father. So I had to write notes on a paper and slide it to my dad so that he could actually speak for me in meetings, which is so weird. I said, I can't stay over here. They will stone me. I'm too strong of a woman. But my point is, when women came up to me and said, now I know that I can be a powerful woman of God. I can be a strong wife to my husband, a great wife to my husband, and be an amazing mom and still have my own dream. Thank you for letting me know that I can still have my own dream. And that doesn't mean that I have to let go of that. And that, to have women cry, I didn't know these women from Adam, and they're crying on my shoulder. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So that is one moment that I would never forget as long as I live, and it has to be one of the highlights of my speaking career.
That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, you never know. You might, maybe one of them ladies became some kind of speaker over there,
Right, exactly. And the whole time, back to what Belinda said earlier, the negative inner conversation was, these people are not going to receive you. They're not going to be a hit over here. You're not a good fit. And it's just amazing. I say that when you have a message that is colorless, like our message, it's colorless, it's ageless, it's genderless, it's timeless. And when it comes from your heart, you speak heart to heart. Right. And people feel it. And it doesn't matter where they're from. They can get it if it really is from your heart.
I get to see you on stage one day.
Thank you. Thank you, Chevy. We have 3 more questions for you, Ona. Can you stick around for the 3 questions?
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Chevy. Listen.
Hi, Chevy.
We need to talk. We need to talk. You need to tell, before we put the next person up, we need to tell, Les. I already told Les that we were going to do this interview, so you got to talk to him, and John Leslie too. So eventually I can have all 3 of you. And by the way, we're going to edit this, and I'm going to give you the edited copy. So it's going to be a real nice piece for you to actually, maybe say, show off and stuff. I spoke with Bert,
Yeah, I can't wait. I love it. I love it.
All right, we have Joe Cotto.
Hey, how are you? How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm unbelievable. Everything's great. It's amazing. I do want to thank Bert for the opportunity and you yourself for taking the time and joining us on Mastermind for the time that you'll be here with us. I have a question for you. I'm at a point in my life where I'm starting to realize my, self-awareness, how I'm thinking, how everything's really starting to unfold in my life. I know you have the blessing and the privilege to have a great idol and a mentor like your dad on your right hand. But when did you start realizing yourself that you were different on how you think, how everything that you say and you think about starts manifesting? I'm starting to go through that in my life. I'm 26 now. I've always had big dreams coming from a baseball background, becoming a professional athlete, helping many people. But it's really starting to become physical, and everything's really starting to unfold. When did you really start realizing that your thought process was different and you were the 1% of the world?
Right. I can't remember exactly a day. I think it's like a process, and you find yourself in a season of awakening. That's what I would call it. It was like an awakening for me. And it was interesting when I started getting calls to go speak in places that my father had never been and get opportunities to do things that my father had never done. I was like, whoa. What's going on? What's really happening here? Because at one point I was thinking, okay, I'm in his what do you call those, the footsteps,
right?
I'm following his trail, and then all of a sudden it was like something started to open up, and it was like this whole new avenue of things that were just designed for me. And I knew at that point that I had tapped into a different place within my own consciousness and my own awareness and my own self-acceptance. And as I tell people, you don't achieve, Dad says this, he's been saying this for years, but I always reiterate the fact, you don't achieve success, you attract it. And it's about your own internal work and your own belief, and no one can do that internal work for you but you. And so I would just encourage you, Joe, to continue doing that work. I can tell you you got this thing where you're about to bust out on the scene, whatever it is that you're going to do, and the world is waiting on it more than you can ever begin to imagine. It was really big for me to start to realize that the world needed Ona in her own unique way, and that there were things that would happen and things that I would be able to do that would take us into a different place beyond what I could ever have imagined or expected.
That's awesome, man.
I want to add something to it, though. I grew up without a father, grandparent, brother, or sister. You'll see, just my mom. And so I wasn't fortunate to have a father like Les. So what did I do? I went looking for someone like him. I went to every single event I can find that man. And eventually that's how I bumped into his daughter. And I studied. All you can do, especially in today's world, you can go online right now and look at Ona Brown actually speak. You can see her speak because there's videos out there. There's CDs. And then if you can't find it, then buy the book. You need to, the more, I learned this from Les, being well read is the first part of being ready. You got to study.
Come on now.
You keep studying, and man, you're on your way there. We can feel your energy. We see the potential that you have, the greatness that you have inside of you. I can feel it on this side of the room. So you keep doing what you're doing, being involved in a mastermind session. Let me tell you something, and I'm not just doing this to brag, but to have someone like Ona here for an hour and 10 minutes, that's about $10,000. That's how much you paid to be on stage.
About
so
12. About 12.
12? I'm sorry, you know, but on the lower end. But I mean, being honest, they go, and again, sometimes it goes up to 25,000.
Right.
You know, the whole thing is that I bring you these speakers and these people that I've learned and I've met throughout my years of my career, and I bring you real substance, real people. And this is one thing is to go to a webinar. Another thing is not only to go to the webinar, but to actually get to talk to the celebrity.
Absolutely.
Talk to the person that's done it. And that's what you just did. So you keep doing it. Every time you get a chance, you raise that hand and you speak your mind and get involved.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Joe, for that question. That was a great question. And don't be afraid when things happen for you, because you're going to experience signs, miracles, and wonders now in that phase. And just, know that that's as it shall be, that, that's the way it should be, and expect even greater each and every day as you continue to grow and evolve. So will your life.
No, absolutely. I appreciate everything, Ona, for your time, and thank you, Bert.
Thank you, Joe. We have one more question, and then we're done. What's the last question?
Hi, Fritz.
How you doing, Ona?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm fine. My question is, listening to you, right? I coined in my head the big O. I'm pointing after Oscar Robertson in basketball. He's the big O in terms of motivation.
Oh, okay.
My question is, you touched on it just a while ago. I know you was inspired by your father. You the footsteps and stuff like that. You was in the. How long were you really eager to get out of his shadow and to be your own person, or were you just patient enough? You said, okay, let me take my time. Let me be under his umbrella while I'm still learning this. Or were you so eager enough to I gotta get out of his shadow and just be my own person, be my own.
I've never, that's a great question, Fritz. I'm glad you asked that. I've never been that person that was like, oh, I got to get out here. I got to do this. I've never really even fiended for the microphone. I mean, to this day, Dad and John Leslie will kind of push me. Otherwise, as long as I'm on a team that's winning and we're making a difference in people's lives, I can support someone else in the back of the room. I can carry Bert Olivia's bag. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't have to be oh, if I don't get my time, I'm mad, And so for me, it was just about being able to serve and to study and to grow and to learn and be utilized in a powerful way. And the Book of Life says, the greatest among you shall be your servant. And I know that I've heard that since I was a little girl. So I knew I was in a place of power because I was serving. And then when you actually start coming up into your own, it's a powerful feeling, but it was nothing that I had felt like, oh, I got to do it. I didn't feel that rush. I mean, I lived at my mom's house till I was 24. People were like, I got to get my own apartment. I got to have my own life. I'm like, I'm going to bank some money, hang out with my mom, get access to that good cooking, and just, live debt free. Why do we have to run out? What are we rushing to anyway? When we can be present and be in the moment and watch the evolution of our lives, that's a powerful thing. I can remember being a teenager and I could not wait until I was 13. I had to be 14. When I turned 14, I had to be 15. And I missed so much of my amazing years trying to be that next level. And then I realized, man, these 20s are gone already. It's you really want to savor the moment and savor each season of your life. Because once it hits and it takes off, then you got to be in a whole different situation, as you know.
So you when that time came, you truly embraced it, right? Or was back of your head, even though you saw it, you had some kind of nerve, like, it's really happening, right?
Right. I was nervous. I couldn't believe it. I knew I was ready, but I still was afraid. That's the part. And Dad says, what's that little saying? He says, when you're going through life and you've got a challenge, you got to leap and grow your wings on the way down. And that's what I felt like I did. I just kept leaping. I kept leaping and growing my wings on the way down. And a couple of times I asked Dad, I said, hey, what if you scrape your knees on the cement? What happens then? But you got to keep understanding that it's a part of life to leap and to stretch and to grow. That's why we're here. That's the purpose of us being here. And it will happen in divine time. It's like when you plant a seed, you can't say when the process of photosynthesis is going to take place. Mm-hmm. You just plant the seed, you provide the sunlight, you provide the water, and it's going to happen in divine time. When will a baby speak its first words? When it speaks its first words. The doctors can give you a range, but they can't tell you exactly when. When will a baby actually take its first steps? It will when it takes its first steps. There's certain things that we just don't know. And we got to get out of that control mindset of wanting to be able to control everything and say, well, this should have happened by now. Because I had to challenge myself with that. In my mind, I should have been the next Oprah by now. I don't know why I'm not the next Oprah yet.
Because you're still 24. That's why.
Huh?
Because you're still 24. You're still young, girl. You still got time.
I love it. That's my BFF. So in the meantime, I'm just loving life as it is, making a difference in my own unique way, and getting out of the way with how I think it should be.
So you was patient. Okay, thank you very much.
Fritz. We have one more question. I'm sorry, I got to give this guy an opportunity. His name is James, and he just started his new radio show. He's an ex-addict, and he's asking to ask you a question, and I can't just hold back on him. His name is James Eda from New York.
Hi, James.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Okay. Well, as you know, Bert is my mentor. You're talking to him right there. And I heard you said something about a radio show that you're doing. And I would like for you, because see, I'm trying to start a radio show too. I'm Inspirational James. And what advice can you give me to get this really going, to get their attention?
One of the things you want to do is have some amazing guests like Bert, Olivia. And the thing is, because those guests oftentimes will attract new listeners, listenership. And the other thing is to make sure that when you do whatever you're doing, that you do it in a way that you're branding yourself. Like, I love the fact that you said, I'm Inspirational James. That's something that, will stay in my mind. And so you want to always do that. When you have your show, how long is your show?
Well, I have my show for 2 hours.
Okay, it's a 2-hour talk show?
No, music.
Music and talk.
Okay, so my show was a 3-hour talk show. It was no joke. And it was challenging. Every Sunday night from 9 to 12 midnight, we dealt with teaching people how to own their dreams. So just making sure that your content is rich, that you're giving people each and every time something that they can take and apply to their lives. And that's not easier. It's much easier said than done, because the reality is, I remember one time Dad and I were speaking at this church, and the minister said that it seems like Sunday morning comes every 15 minutes. After you have that great sermon, next thing you know, woo, Sunday's back again. You better have another good sermon. Got to deal with your show. Is it a weekly or daily?
It's every other day right now. I could do it daily, but I'm like, okay, let me start off with just a couple of days at a time. And
That's good. So one of the mistakes that oftentimes people make is they confuse quantity with quality. Rather you have an amazing, powerful show that like knocks the socks off of people once a week than to have, an average okay show every other day. So, I mean, but if you're going to do it every other day, just make sure that you use those down days to prepare and to go over and to study and to get those people so that when you do get on, you're in a powerful place. And so, and also don't limit. Like I had some 6 or 7 year olds on my show that were making straight A's and wanted to act. Like I really did some things that most people wouldn't do with radio. And it made it so captivating. And to have kids calling in and telling us, I'm owning my dream too, you know, have fun with it, get some sponsorship, make some money with it. And then it's going to be even more fun.
Oh,
thank you, James.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, Ona, before we say goodbye, I want to, first of all, let me put up the screen. This is her information, contact information, her phone number, her website. Her website. And actually, you can find her on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you haven't done so, take a screenshot of this. If not, for the members, you guys will be able to see a copy of this by next week. And in a couple of days. But this is it. This is Ona Brown. And before you leave, I got to tell you one more thing. I mean, I want to first of all thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're an inspiration. You're an amazing and a beautiful woman. I always tell you, you're beautiful not only on the outside, you're beautiful on the inside.
Thank
and my
you.
wife and I both believe the same thing. I mean, you haven't aged a day since the day I met you. And
thanks.
I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for your opportunity and the opportunity of being able to have you on my show. One last thing, anything you want to leave, one message.
Okay. I just want to say, I want to commend each and every person that is tuned in for taking this time to pour into yourself, for being a part of this mastermind, for listening to that still small voice inside of you that said, hey, I want to connect with this powerful King Bert Olivia, and honoring that with time and energy and probably some money. That was a smart move. Continue to do things like that for yourself. Set yourself up to win. Give yourself what you need, and know that as you continue to grow and evolve, that you're going to be able to shine your light in a brighter way and make a big difference in this world. Have some fun, touch some hearts, change some lives, and make some crazy money if you keep living out this life in the way that you were designed to live it. Just know that we love you and we believe in you, and thank you so much for this time and this honor.
Thank you, Ona. I love the crazy money. You're awesome. Well, everyone, my name is Bert Oliva. Remember, to live life.
I've been saying Olivia.
That's okay. You know, you can call me whatever you want. Like your dad said, just don't call me late for dinner. We're good.
Okay, good.
Bert Oliva. My name is Bert Oliva. Remember to live life and don't let life live you. I will see you next week.
Register online and join us today for all new live interviews and weekly topics only at themastermindcircle.com.